So Calabria is, I think, around here. Calabria. Let's see. Wait. Uh, uh, Calabria, Italy. Oh, where? Minus, no. Actually, it's all the way down at the toes of the boot.
Hmm.
I thought it was more north. But okay. But bottom line is south of Naples. It's also Yanov is another name because of the port it came out of. So there's that element, a connection of Italy with the esrog. Um, the other the other part is also that when the blessing that God gives Asa with Mishmane Haaretz and the fat of the land. So Rashi says that's Italia Shel Yavan, basically Italy, and meaning the idea of having lush place of the fat of the land means being lush and be able to produce a lot of fruits, vegetation, what have you. So that's all linked. That's associated with Italy. Right, Italy has some really good climates for that, and the connection of the esrog with Tu BShvat is because it's brought down in the holy books,
That's
certainly
when you
Hasidic
daven for
books.
the esrog.
Yes, it's the time. It's the skula time. Tu BShvat is to daven for the esrog, and in fact, because it says the Mishnah calls it that Tu BShvat is Rosh Hashanah, not li'lanot in plural to trees, but li'ilan to this in the singular to the tree. And so it's brought down. What is the most noble tree? The tree that is most is associated to for a mitzvah, because we know the pera fruits are compared to mitzvah. So what's the number one mitzvah being a fruit? And the tree thereof is the esrog. Um, so um, so therefore, it's most that's the connection. That's why people do have intention when they eat during the Tu BShvat Seder their fruit, that they have that they have the best esrog to come up for them. And, in fact, there's a story. I think it has to do with I think it's the Kotzker Rebbe that once in Tu BShvat he had his meal, even though the Chassidim didn't make full Seder. But what they did do is, and this is what I saw with Lubavitch Rebbe, he from the 1970s and on, sure, he made a Fabrengen on Tu BShvat. But he didn't do a whole Seder. He just had, in addition to his normal tray of cake and this cup with wine, there was another like a silver platter of fruit, and then he would take a couple grapes or something from there and give out the rest. It wasn't in the layout of a seder like is now it's become popular. So it seems like other rebbes would do it also throughout the years. They would make a Tu BShvat tish rather than seder. At the Tu BShvat tish, they had a big. They had a beautiful, big like herring, big pickled, salted fish. It's a big thing for Rebbe's tzaddikim to eat fish because the souls of the righteous are in fish, and fish is part of the shirayim, what they give out to the chassidim. So the Kotzker Rebbe called over a chassid. He opened up the belly, and there was the roe. The roe of we call it roe. In Yiddish, it's called regin. He scooped out a bunch of the roe, and he gave it to the chassid to eat, and he was telling him, esrogin, esrogin, which in Yiddish means to eat the roe, eat the roe, eat roe. But Chassidim didn't catch what the Rebbe was saying, and they thought the Rebbe was saying esrogin, the esrigs. But it was a wonder to them, as a big hello, that the Rebbe is mentioning esrig. And it turned out that like more than half a year later, that year was very hard to get esrigs. And this chassid, by his special feats, was able to get the beautiful esrig and bring it to the Rebbe, the Kotzker Rebbe. So that's a story showing how the Tu BShvat Seder or Tish tonight could actually activate that. Esrig is also right. It creates hadar. It's beautiful fruit, and that's what we're doing also tonight with the Tu BShvat Seder, is to bring out hadar, beauty, hidur, and hidur and hadar together, beautifying our lives with all the different colors of the fruits and the great aesthetics thereof, the tastes. It's the first time that the word taiva is in the Torah. It's like, right, that it says that the fruits are kitaiva hulainayin, that the fruit of the trees is visually attractive, and not only taste wise, which is what attracted Chava and Adam to the trees and to the fruit, right? So that's what we'll be doing tonight, bringing some colorful fruits into our lives. So welcome everyone who's following on Facebook or other ways. Certainly those that are here in Zoom land. It's a very special night. It's called Tu BShvat, the New Year of the Tree. Meaning, it's interesting. We're not saying it's the new year of the fruit, New Year of the tree, because the fruits still take some time to grow. Right? The trees are just beginning to bud at best now. Actually, the earliest trees I remember to bud, having lived up in the farms, in the country, as Ramona knows, is there too. So we had all different trees. We had all orchid. The first buds were actually the apricots, if I recall. These white, pink flowers budding almost around this time of year. Yeah, I think already by February-ish, right? Yeah, really the earliest. I think, if I recall, almonds also begin to bud quite early. Yet at the same time, the way it's brought down in the Mishnah and the Talmud and Rosh Hashanah and about Bikurim, the first fruits to bring, it's the new year also to demarcate what is considered the fruits of last year or the fruits of the upcoming year. And this has to do with the tithing of the fruits that are to be donated to the temple, to the priests, or given to the poor. So there's both the naturalistic, botanical element to it. And this is the time when winter is beginning to thaw, the sap begins to flow in the tree, and they begin to bud. And it also has to do with knowing how practically to distribute our charity of fruits, so to speak. And again, and also we're emphasizing the tree, the source of the fruit remembering that whereas the fruits always can always every year, changes, replenishes, the tree always remains there constant throughout, even through the cold winter, even when it loses its leaves, even when as old as we get, the tree still hangs around. And speaking of it, which I have this book, which you may remember from your youth or your adult youth, right? So Silverstein's The Giving Tree. I don't know if you've read this as when you're growing up or even as an adult. It's a very sweet book. It's a very quick read. Who do you want to read this along? Is this something that you'd be up to if I do it right now?
Yes.
Okay, great. It's almost like a minhag in some circles to read this every Tu BShvat.
Baruch, before you read that, can I just interject a couple things? I didn't want to stop you during, your initial presentation, but you were talking about, the term pre-Eitz Hadar, which was also, as Aaron is very familiar, the name of what the Arizal, Rabbi Yitzchak Luria, had titled his Tu BShvat Seder that he wrote.
Right, very good. Though technically he didn't do it. I think it was the students of the Arizal.
Chaim Vital, I think.
Not even Chaim Vital. Chaim Vital is Pri Eitz Chaim, his book.
Pri Eitz Chaim, that's right.
Right, but Pri Eitz Hadar, you're correct, is the compendium of and the first main print of a Tu BShvat Seder model, and which is basically the teachings of the Arizal. So I think it was printed in the 1600s. Do you remember, Aaron? Pri Eitz Hadar, which would be a couple generations after the Arizal himself, but certainly from the teachings of the Arizal. Very good. And in fact, yes. So there's that. That is the Or Haggadah for all the subsequent Tu BShvat Haggadot that we have. And there's just a plethora of them out. Even this year, I see two people I know that developed their own.
Looking at Aaron's notes, by the way,
where in Open Siddur, you're looking at it.
Yeah, well, I download. I mean, I've had this for a couple of years now. I downloaded a few years ago, but correct me if I'm wrong, Aaron. But you write that it was first published as a pamphlet in Venice, another Italy connection, in 1728.
1728. So it was even later, in early 1700s. Very good. Wow. Of course, another appropriate connection to Italy. And another connection of Tu BShvat with Arizal, why it's called Ilan, tree singular. He connected it with, because it's not just about our physical trees, the whole species of trees. Aaron was just mentioning the beautiful trees of Italy, too, but it's referring to the tree. What is the tree? Not only the tree of knowledge, not only the tree of life, it's Chaim, but the tree, the Ilan HaGadol, it's called, the great tree, which is all of creation, the whole emanation from the infinite through the 10 Sfirot into this world, through all the 4 worlds, is known in Lurianic Kabbalah as the great tree. So when we say Rosh Hashanah Le'ilan, is in a way we're saying that this is the Rosh Hashanah of all of creation, of the whole world. It is true that creation is, as we know in the Gemara Rosh Hashanah, of course, whether it's beginning of Nisan, beginning of Tishrei, we hold it's beginning of Tishrei, certainly physically and conceptually it's probably Nisan, but on a certain level, there's even before the in potentia creation of the world of Nisan, there's the Rosh Hashanah of the tree, Tu BShvat or Rosh Chodesh Shvat, according to Shammai, which we say already then the beginning of all of creation began. So it's the very, very openings and stirrings of creation. So in a way, we're already warming up to the new year. And we'll share later another thing about tree, okay? After we read the book, okay?
Right. I'll just mention one other quick thing, which is that I just put in the chat, Art Scroll actually just put this out a couple days ago, but I'd been using it and seeing it for a few years. A a prayer for the esrog. I mean, there are many versions, many gersot of this prayer, but this one is from the Ben Ish Chai,
Oh,
and
to be said on Tu BShvat.
yes,
Okay, thank you. So I see it's sort of like I'm trying to download it. All right, I
it's a
got it.
PDF. In
Okay,
fact,
here.
in the if you look at the second paragraph, it says Ana Hashem
Yeah, I'm opening it up.
Hoshiana Hayom Hazeh Le'ilan Hu Rosh Hashanah, and
Yeah,
then
yeah,
the
I've
rest
seen
of
that.
that
Okay, it's open.
paragraph,
Yeah,
it talks
I
about La'ilan in
right,
the singular.
Me'ilan, very good. So here it is. Tefillah esrog na'eh, prayer for a beautiful esrog. Uh, so first it has the three verses, the verses of creation of creating the grass and the trees that bear fruit, that themselves bear fruit, and have seeds to bear more fruit, and on. And then as Jonathan just said, Ana Hashem Mashiach Hayom Azali Ilan Hu Rosh Hashanah, Ana Hashem Tzlichana, Hashem Avichana, Hashem Tivana, Hashem Barechet Hayom Azali Ilan Hu Rosh Hashanah. Yeah. Alna Pitzei Shanazu Mishama Vishis. Kelna Pitzei Shanazu Mishama Vishis. Yes. Keep this year, be protected. Uvarech Eif Shemen Vizayis, and bless the tree of oil and olive. Another Italy in the house. Kelna Bimtaravech Habayna Yishimun. Right. With the rain quenching satiate or the all the parchness. And bless the grape, the fig and the pomegranate. And bless the almond and the date and apples. Let's just assume we're already in the Seder on some level. This is certainly part of it, a warm up, okay? Your righteousness do not of the doing righteous for your people do not interrupt, stop. And bless the carib and the crustamel. I don't know what crustamel is. Do you? Crustamel and aphrasek. I'm not sure what aphrasek is either.
A farsec is I think, is it persimmon?
Persimmon, right? I wasn't sure exactly, but I think you're right. It's persimmon. Again, shout out to Berkeley where there are great persimmons, though the season's just over. There was a persimmon tree near Ramona's house, I remember. And gather or fortify the congregation to which you yearn. And bless the berries. And again, the nuts. Egos, though we say it's a nut, it more specifically means walnut, and that's esrog. Okay. May be the well before you, Hashem, the God of our God and the God of our ancestors. To bless all the trees, esrog trees, that they should give forth their fruits in their designated time. And they should produce good, beautiful, and pure and esrog pure of all blemish. They shouldn't have any of those scratches on it, right? Those they should be whole, complete. Without any missingness to it. Not even have the prig like a thorn stuck in it. And they should be they should be bountiful enough for all people where for all of Israel wherever they are. Be able to fulfill the mitzvah of having the esrog with the lulav on Sukkot. Good life and peace. As you've instructed in your Torah through Moshe. That will to take on the first day of Sukkot, beautiful fruit which is esrog, and date palms, that's the lulav, and the trees and branches, wood tree branches, they're thick. That's the hadassim, myrtle, nachal, and the willows of the rivers or the streams, which is our avot. May be the will of God, our God, of our ancestors, to help us. Say Yanu and sisters. Be able to fulfill this mitzvah of Lulav Hadas Rabban Esrog. Tikna b'zman to be in a sukna shiyav elenu. It should be b'zman shiyav elenu l'chaim t'mishalim, and it's the right time of sukkahs. That's about the upcoming sukkahs. The simcha to levav with joy and glad heart. And that we should get the most beautiful, pure, whole, and kosher esrog. May it be the will of the God, our God, and God of our ancestors, to bless all the species of trees. So here he's going on. It's not just esrogim, but with this we're blessing all trees. The Eitziu Periseim Beriboy, and they have this like total surplus of bountifulness of fruits coming out that they produce. Like lush and good. Bless the grapevines. To produce much grapes, also like fat and good. So the wine produced from them, distilled from them, should be prevalent, that be able to accessible for all your nation Israel. By Mrs. Kiddush, to be able to mitzvah Abdallah Shabbat Yom Tov, in order to fulfill the mitzvah of Kiddush and Abdallah on Shabbos Yom Tov. And may it be fulfilled for us and all Israel, our brothers, the verse that states, to eat your bread with joy, and drink your wine with glad heart. Because God already so wills your deeds, your doings. May it be the will of my mouth. I'm going to say this with God's name. May this be the will of the words of my hearts and the thoughts of my mouth, the thoughts of my heart, to you, God, my rock and my salvation. I forget the Alpha Blondie song that he translates this Yiratzin free into English. Anyone remember? Amen. 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 So thank you so much. That's a beautiful way to begin our Seder.
By the way, just to correct, I just checked while we were doing this. Most people translate afarsek as peach, not persimmon.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. Good to know. And as we'll see, as we get into the Seder, that the types of fruits, there's a physical characteristics in 3 types of fruits, basically, that we're going to be going through tonight. So now, just in general, before we dive in, there is, as mentioned, there's a lot of Haggadahs out there, and everyone could certainly go. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put in, I'm going to get the link to the one that to dear brother Aaron's Tu BShvat, I think it's the most extensive depository of Tu BShvat material that I've seen out there. Just get the correct page, and it's been so I'm going to share it in the chat so everyone could use it, could look into it. Rosh Hashanah Leila note as Tu BShvat consider. At the same time, what I think we'll use for tonight is, because there's just so much material, what I've done over the past years, if you recall, I think we've already done these Tu BShvat Seders online. This must be maybe the 4th year we're doing it here online. And I developed in just a very, in like a shortish version of it, very easy, accessible combination of the material of David Seidenberg on neochassid.org and some others, and my own. And so certainly look at the one that Aaron has put up, and there you could also find the original material of the B'Yetz Hadar publication of it in the early 1700s. And there is, so there's longer, more extensive versions, but the one I'll share tonight, I'll share a screen share, very friendly, user friendly, and we'll just go through it. Okay. So before I didn't forget to read the Shel Silverstein. Okay, we'll do that in a moment. So Ramona has her table set up for the Seder. It's beautiful. What I've done is I've made 3 separate plates, so to speak, for the 3 different types of fruits, and we'll go through that. And I'd say anyone, even if you didn't prepare for this and you don't have all the types of fruits, bring some fruit out. This is a good time. Bring any fruit out, and connect with it as we will tonight. Additionally, we have the drinks, which traditionally is white wine and red wine in different formations. On my end, I just couldn't go out. Personally, I'm using grape juice this year. I'm just trying to avoid alcohol these days. So I have grape juice instead for the red. I was unable to go and look around for white grape juice. I did do that last year. So instead of white grape juice, I have or white or yellow, right? I have like a light yellow apple cider. Okay, so that works. Hello, AJ. Great to see you.
Hi.
Hi. So we're about to dive into getting all fruity. We're actually, I suppose it was meant that we wait for you, or not wait, just that you tuned in just the right time. And so as warm up, usually we start off with Kadesh or Chatz, Karpas, yeah, right? So in place of that, as promised, we're going to read the Shel Silverstein, The Giving Tree. I think the first Tu BShvat Seder that I attended, where we read it, I was with you, AJ, in Denver, Colorado. Must have been, 10 years ago, more. It must have been more than maybe 12 years ago. Remember when we went to visit Reb Zalman?
Yeah.
And we went from Boulder to Denver for Tu BShvat Seder.
Yeah, we're Yud Shvat with Reb Zalman,
That's right. And
and then Tu BShvat in Denver.
right, and there, I think that there was like a couple hundred people around these long tables, and we all read the Shel Silverstein book together. So this is we read this a bit also in order to stir the curiosity of the children, so to speak. The children, and as the story shows that there's a child within us all the way through to old age. So we'll just read it, and if anyone has any reflections on what it means to them, we'll touch into that, and then we'll delve into the actual Seder. Okay. The Giving Tree by Shel Silverstein. It was actually published in originally 1964. Okay. Once there was a tree. And she loved a little boy. See, there's the little, right over here on the edge, you see the foot. And every day the boy would come and he would gather her leaves and make them into crowns and play king of the forest. He would climb up her trunk and swing from her branches and eat apples. And they would play hide and seek. Play hide and go seek. And when he was tired, he would sleep in her shade. And the boy loved the tree. And the tree was happy. But time went by. Boy's growing up here, right? Time went by. They had a little heart, me and T. And the boy grew older. And the tree was often alone. Then one day, the boy came to the tree, and the tree said, "Come, boy, come and climb up my tree and swing from my branches and eat apples and play in my shade and be happy." "I am too big to climb and play," said the boy. "I want to buy things and have fun. I want some money. Can you give me money?" "I'm sorry," said the tree, "but I have no money. I have only leaves and apples. Take my apples, boy, and sell them in the city. And then you will have money and you will be happy." And so the boy climbed up the tree and gathered her apples and carried them away. And the tree was happy. But the boy stayed away for a long time, and the tree was sad. And then one day the boy came back, and the tree shook with joy. And she said, "Come, boy, climb up my trunk and swing from my branches and be happy." Here he is already a grown up, right? "I am too busy to climb trees," said the boy. "I want a home to keep me warm," he said. "I want a wife and I want children. And so I need a house. Can you give me a house?" "I have no house," said the tree. "The forest is my house. But you may cut off my branches and build a house. Then you will be happy." And so the boy cut off her branches and carried them away to build his house. And the tree was happy. But the boy stayed away for a long time. And when he came back, the tree was so happy, she could hardly speak. Come, boy, she whispered, come and play. I am too old and sad to play, said the boy. I want a boat that will take me far away from here. Can you give me a boat? Cut down my trunk and make a boat, said the tree. Then you can sail away and be happy. And so the boy cut down her trunk and made a boat and sailed away. And the tree was happy, but not really. All right, what hit there? Okay. Yeah, you see, cut down, it's just the stump. All right. Hold on. And after a long time, the boy came back again. I'm sorry, boy, said the tree, but I have nothing left to give you. My apples are gone. My teeth are too weak for apples, said the boy. My branches are gone, said the tree. You can't not swing on them. I am too old to swing on branches, said the boy. My trunk is gone, said the tree. You cannot climb. I am too tired to climb, said the boy. I am sorry, sighed the tree. I wish that I could give you something, but I have nothing left. I am just an old stump. I am sorry. I don't need very much now, said the boy. Just a quiet place to sit and rest. I am very tired. Well, said the tree, straightening herself up as much as she could. Well, an old stump is good for sitting and resting. Come, boy, sit down and rest. And the boy did. And the tree was happy. The end. So that's the giving tree, the tree that keeps on giving, even to the point of barely existing anymore. And in that lack, even the little bit that's left, the stump can still give for the yeah. So in that respect, tree, you can see tree as the source of the source of all nourishment, the source of us receiving whatever we need. At the same time, it feels, just reading, I'll just start off the discussion on the book. To me, it feels a little imbalanced, more than a little, that the tree's just giving and giving, and but the boy is just taking, right? So is that almost taking to the point of not having anything for the future? So is that a healthy relationship dynamic to be? What this is leading in my, just flowing through my head and heart, is the sense of that verse, Ki ha'adam etz hasada, that the human is the tree. So in that respect, maybe we shouldn't just be takers from the giving tree all the time, but we should act like the tree. that we're receiving from herself, and become trees ourselves, and find the way to emulate and be able to produce in a way that certainly at least replaces whatever is and replenish at least whatever is taken, and ideally to produce surplus even more. And that the ideal is that when in the partnership, that there is a healthy dynamic, and there is that reciprocity in that respect, and which is the best ways to actually trees are able to produce is when they're well taken care of by the human. So when the human gives, acts as a tree and gives to the tree, then the tree can give from her end even more and more. Okay, so that's just my five apples on it on this. If anyone has any other insight on it.
Yeah, the story is just really troubling on so many levels. I recently read a blog where that, and then if you know the children's story with the rainbow fish who keeps giving away all of its scales because the other fish aren't happy. There's like this beautiful rainbow fish, and rather than telling the other fish, you know, you're beautiful just the way you are, it strips itself of its unique beauty to give those scales to the other fish who feel needy. Like the story just contains so much, and it's in our tradition and it's there, but the human exceptionalism that the tree exists only for human happiness rather than acknowledging that tree has relationships with so many other beings in the non-human world, and the mycorrhizae and connections to other trees, and it's just inherent part in a entire ecosystem that without, I mean, and it's interesting to consider, like, if creation is just for the human. But it also reminds me of the story, and unfortunately I can't quote the right sources here, but there's a midrash that takes the words that the trees were created with the taste of their fruit, that the original command of creation was for the trees to be tasty, like the way their fruit is tasty. The entire tree was
Yeah,
to be made that way. But my I heard this at like a Coalition on the Environment and Jewish Life conference many years ago, and just thought about it, and it seemed like the trees were so almost had foresight into human psychology, realizing that if they were edible and desirable through and through, we would not wait for the fruit to come. We would just consume down the trees until there was nothing else. So that the trees, as an act of self-preservation, engaged in the first account of disobedience to God's directive, and created themselves so that it was only the fruit that had the delicious taste.
And in that way, self-preservation.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
And so the parenting blogs that wanted to teach healthy boundaries were saying this is not the correct book to instill that in your children, that you need to learn how to say a healthy no and a healthy boundary, and a maybe you don't want to separate yourself from the environment. Maybe you don't want to go shopping in order to find your sense of meaning and sense of purpose, but maybe that's something that you can, like me, acknowledge in your connection to the myriad other beings that are connected to, not just consuming.
Right. And it also, like, you're so on it, and it, to me, it does feel quite dated. This book is almost like a 1930s long-term marriage relationship where the spouse, usually the woman, self-sacrifices for the partners, whatever, with all his that, and then it's only at the end of life when they both don't have any more energy left, they say, okay, we're still together. So, okay, we'll share the same bed or something, rather than just having the healthy balance from the onset, you know. So very well said, and it does. That's why that's why I was trying to like what would be the word not just personify the tree, but the reverse of that, treeify us, the person, in that we should act, be more tree-like in this respect, of even in this unhealthy perspective of the tree, which again plugs into the pasuk Adam Etzasada.
Yeah, which do you resemble more in life? Are you the human who takes, or the tree who gives without any limits? And how do we find a balance between those two?
Correct. So well. So thank you. And yeah, it's and again, and part of it is also we sort of like almost take trees for granted. They're just there, and actually that trees have minimal maintenance.
Oh, bye, AJ, if you're still here.
For some reason he just I think just checked out. Good to see. He needs to. He said he left in the chat. He needs to hop off now.
Yeah.
All right. So it's good. Even a few minutes was great to have it on. Yeah. By the way, tonight I think the West Coast outnumbered East Coast, at least until 30 seconds ago, right? Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. We have Italy in the house, also Europe in the house too. So it's just like a different. Okay. So yeah. So that's very, very insightful. In fact, they say that fruit, in the wide spectrum of things, grain, let's say bread, is seen as the food of the average person, the regular people, and fruit, primarily apples, is the food of the tzaddikim, of the righteous, because it is wheat, grain, what have you, that takes a lot of labor to grow, and then you need to thresh it, and you need to make flour and bake and da 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 da. It's a long process, and then you have to really look after things. So all that work and investment, that's a laborer's more laborious, right? So, and also in the spiritual dimensions, it means you need to go through all the birurim, all the work of bringing out the holiness of it. Whereas the fruit is almost like it's almost it's almost like sushi. It's just ready to eat, right? Fruits are the apples are hanging off the tree. All you have to do is just make sure that the trees get water, which in many climates is raining anyways. So there isn't much maintenance to trees. That means it's already worked out, and you can just eat the whole thing. You don't have to work hard to eat it as a food. So.
But ironically,
yeah,
what is the prayer that we say over this bread that we slaved so hard over to put into its form? Hamotzi lechem min haaretz.
Right.
As though it just sprang up out of the ground.
Right. I see what you're saying.
In its final form.
Right. In its final form, 100%. Hamotzi lechem min haaretz, as if there was it was just an easy, as if we just popped it into you need to pop it into our microwave and it comes out, right? Something. Right. Yeah. So
as though we were just plucking it off a tree.
Right. It does say, I think when Mashiach comes, that all foods, not just fruits, will just be coming off trees, like hanging there, like in Gingerland or something, So so and I think we've discussed this maybe a couple of years ago, and we went through the details and the irony of that, and also the irony that on wine we bless the fruit, not the wine itself, right? Even though we put all work, so it goes back that way. There's also a connection, incidentally. There's something that is bread but is like fruit in our parsha, you know what I'm talking about? Towards the end of the parsha, it starts with an M.
Man, I can't figure it out.
Man, you can't figure it out. You just did. Yeah, the man, right? So the man is lachem min hashamayim, bread from heaven. It came down and was for everyone. The tzaddikim got all like they had the Uber Eats. It was delivered straight to their door. That's what it's brought down. They didn't have to do any effort, even go out to collect it. Really, it was there for all. But again, right? It was just like made already. You didn't have to do anything.
Actually, they did have to do work to collect it. Otherwise, they would be able to eat it on Shabbos if they didn't.
Well,
collected on
they
Shabbos.
collected double, but the measure says there were 3 levels. The Rishayim had to go out, then very hard to Beinanim, had to the average went out a bit, and the Tzaddikim had very minimal work. They just had to get it. The pasuk says, you're right, that to collect it out in the field. But it says specifically tzaddikim had minimal work for it, and of course it didn't spoil for the tzaddikim, but for others, if they collected too much, it did, as we know, right? And according to some versions, in fact, the blessing they would make is hamotzi lechem baruch atah Hashem cholam hamotzi lechem min hashamayim. That was the first blessings they made. Even before that was the original blessing, and in fact, right. Birchat Hamazon, the first blessing is it says Moshe instituted for the man, in fact, which is what's the connection, because we're eating bread from the earth, and the answer is, well, the bread from the earth is, excuse me, the byproduct, so to speak, of the man. The man was the ideal bread. It was only because of yada yada yada, because of our spiritual refinement diminished, and therefore we had to start making actual earth-grown manna. I mean, bread, right? And but there is, but even the bread we eat now still is a contains within it some components of the manna. So in that respect, maybe there is that echo of the man is in our blessing. Halotzim mech lechem min haaretz. You know what I mean? In that respect,
right?
Okay. So now, does anyone have anything else insights on what we just read from Shel Silverstein's story? Okay, then we could go.
Other than the fact that Shel Silverstein's name itself will become relevant later on.
Because?
Well, the shell part anyway.
Oh, I see. Okay, good.
We're going to be looking at fruits with
okay,
great.
Great.